So we have another storytelling Tuesday. So welcome. Today's topic is going to be all about the WILE opportunity and the business. And so myself and each of the ladies here are going to share a little bit about how the opportunity changed our lives and why we love it so much and why we believe that the business is actually one of the best products in Young Living. So I'm going to get started. For those who don't know me, my name is Alyssa Rose. So I was a kid that grew up on Young Living product. It was my mom that actually started the business. And yeah, so I started with product first. And it wasn't until many years into using the products that I started to look at the business model. And at the time, I was in my first year of college and I really didn't want to do a business. I didn't have any business experience. And nothing like about network marketing was familiar to me. So I was really nervous. But all I started doing was going to classes with my mom. So she would teach the Oils 101 and I would sit in the class and I'd help her set up. And then she had me read the ingredients in the blends. So that was kind of my role for the first year that I was introduced to the business. And I actually learned so much about the product and how to teach about it that I just started talking to people. And I kind of accidentally fell into the business. So I would just bring my oils to school with me. I would share with friends, pass around oils during our breaks on like in between classes. And I got people really interested in buying the product. And so it naturally fell into my lap. And I would say that's the great thing about this business model is if you use the product consistently and you love it, it's actually really easy to share because you're just sharing what you use every day. And I was already kind of doing this prior to the business by, using other products that weren't Young Living. So I figured why not share something that's actually working and really healthy for me and my family. So I actually want to share the part of the business that has really blessed my life. So that's how I got into the business. Um, but I was really struggling with my finances while going to school because I was going to school full time. I was taking about 14 courses a week and I was working part-time as a nanny, but it wasn't enough to sustain my finances. So I needed something where I could earn money with flexible hours. And so just sharing a little bit here and there, I started building up my paycheck to where I would be in the middle of class, and around, I think it's the 14th to the 16th of the month, I would get a notification that I had a deposit in my account. It was my Young Living paycheck. And it was such a relief as a student because when you're taking so many courses and you're working part-time and you're trying to pay all these bills, that paycheck in your account every month really does make a difference. So it started off of me being able to pay small bills, like my cell phone. I didn't have to worry about every month or textbooks. And then I was able to actually grow my paycheck to the rank of silver. And I was actually able to replace my early childhood educator income. And when that happened, I was like, oh my goodness, I need to teach other women how to do this because that just completely alleviated my stress. So when I actually went to teachers college, I didn't have to take on a part-time job. I was able to do 2 to 3 trade shows a month. And I had consistent income. I'd hop on calls like this with my community and teach about the kit and things like that. And just that peace of mind, being able to pay my rent, save, pay down school debt. It's so amazing. And so, even today, with the way the world has gone with the last 3 years, having that paycheck in my account every month and knowing that I've helped so many people, you have to remember that the paycheck is a reflection of how many people you've helped get well, so that to me is just worth it. So that's how I got into Young Living, and that is how the business model has blessed me. So if you are a student or a teacher like myself and you think you could never do something like this, definitely reach out. I would love to talk to you about it because it's so doable as a teacher and it's really blessed me and my family's life.
That was awesome, Alyssa. Okay, I'm Jordan, and I'm going to share a little bit about how I got into the business too, and also how the business has blessed my family. So I started using Young Living products in 2015 when I had my first little baby was 6 months old, and the thought of paying $200 for a starter kit for me was very stressful because I was a student, a full-time student in a science degree. I had a baby at home. I was living on my own. And it was really difficult and finances were tight. So I was just like, oh my goodness. But my mom, as well as how Alyssa said her mom got her into Young Living, my mom got me into Young Living. And I listened to her say, you need to be using these oils. You need to be using these oils for like probably a year before I was like, okay, fine. I will put $200 aside and I will do this. But at that point, it was like, I'm only ordering these products. Like, don't talk to me about the business. I had been approached about several other network marketing businesses in the past, such as Mary-Kay, Isogenics, Beachbody. Really, like, I don't know, interest me or make me excited. And so I think that that's how I felt about network marketing is I didn't feel excited about it. I didn't feel interested in it. I felt like it would be icky and gross trying to sell something to someone that I didn't believe, sell something to someone that I didn't personally believe in. And so that's how I felt like all network marketing people were because I had never experienced, the passion or the belief in a product before, really. And so that's how I viewed network marketing as very like negative and icky and weird. And so I was very afraid for people to see me using Young Living and be like, oh, she's that person. Like, that's weird kind of thing. And so I really was like, no, this isn't happening. So I used the products for a while and then I learned so much about the products just through my own experience of using them for what my family needed them for. But then also, when I saw people in my life complaining about things that they were struggling with, especially moms with kids, I would just, out of curiosity for my own information, I would go look up what oils they could use or what things that they could do to help solve their problems. And it was just like I was building this almost this like encyclopedia in my mind of like things that I could say to people if this was ever brought up in the future. And so a lot of times things were brought up in the future again, and I had that information to share with people. And so organically, I would do that. And really out of nowhere, I got like a $300 paycheck one month and I didn't really understand why. And I was just like kind of mind blown that, my whole entire order for that month could be paid for and then some. So I ended up using that money that I was making in the beginning just to really invest in my own health. And I would just place bigger orders using that money because that's all I intended to really do with Young Living was just to order my own products. I wasn't using it as a way to pay my bills or anything like that. And so I built up a ton of products and we were using a ton of products in our home and our health absolutely transformed. I share a lot of things that we have walked through in health on my Instagram page, but like autoimmune disorders, extreme eczema and stuff with my kids. And so, yeah, it was just like really transformative for me. And after getting some big paychecks, I decided like, wow, like I am struggling financially. What if this could be for real? And I was about to move to Toronto with two kids and be a student. And I was the same as Alyssa. I was working a job where I could work when I wanted to, but I was like scheduling people. I was working for like Liquor Mart scheduling liquor tastings. So I did still have to show up at a certain time and it just wasn't working for me because like somebody was depending on me to show up at a certain time. And so even though it was like here and there hours that kind of I could fit in with being a student and being a mom, it still just wasn't working. And so I really decided to give the Young Living opportunity a second thought. And so I was the person who I didn't want to start and fail. I didn't want to do it for a few months and then have to admit to all my friends and families that it didn't work out. And so I sat down with a book in my hands called The Game Plan by Sarah Harnish. And I was like, I'm going to read this book and I'm going to follow it step by step. I'm going to do everything she says. And if this is legit, then this is going to work for me. And if it's not, then I can just discount it altogether. So I decided just to go all in. Like all in. I was like, I'm going to do everything that you say, Sarah. So I did. And in 5 months, I hit silver. So it was a really fast run for my team because along the way with me sharing the products, I was sharing the business just like I am right now. And so I was literally sharing the business as one of Young Living's products. Like Alyssa said, every time I would introduce somebody to the Young Living products, I would introduce them to the business and show them how easy it could be. And so I had people joining to use the products at the same time as I had people joining to do the business, and things just like duplicated so quickly for me that I went from the rank of a star to silver in 5 months. And so just by like teaching the intro basic classes over and over, nothing in depth, nothing crazy knowledgeable, like I didn't have to know all the things. I literally had a piece of paper that I read the same script off of, did it over and over and over again, and it worked. And so yeah, that was like, proof is in the pudding. Like if you do the work, if you show up, and if you stop those limiting beliefs from holding you back, it works. And that like was insane to me to see that $2,000 could be deposited into my account and cover my rent as a student and a mom. So that is kind of my story with the Young Living business, and I have just grown from there, and I absolutely love it still, and it's been 7 years now, which is crazy.
That's amazing. It's fun because we know each other, but we haven't always heard our story. So it's new for us to hear too. My name is Laura, and I am a stay-at-home mom to two wild and wonderful little boys on the east coast of Canada. We have a little hobby farm, but we didn't always. And when I started Young Living, I signed up 10 years ago as a Young Living member. And the reason I signed up was because I wanted raw butter. And if you know anything about raw dairy in Canada, you know it's like a black market thing. And it was like, if you buy this kit for me, I'll give you raw butter. I was like, score, I'm in. So that's how I started with Young Living. And I told my enroller, I was like, if you ever come at me about like the business and needing to sell, like, I don't want to be a part of one of those companies, because I had every single stereotype and brick wall, like right there. So for the longest time, I never even opened my eyes to the potential of the business. In fact, I never even joined the Essential Rewards program for 3 full years of consistent orders either, because I thought it was like this thing that I couldn't get out of. And if I got into that, then I'd never be able to like back away. And I wasn't like, that's how fearful I was about this whole business. So finally, I started to use the products consistently with my boys. I chose not to go back to work as a teacher after having my kids. So we were living well beyond our means with my husband. He's an artist and he had a great job, but it's not like he had a huge income. So I was home with my boys, and I needed social outlet because I was with babies all day and had no like adult conversations. So I started hosting like mommy and me, like, or mom like make and takes, I guess it was, because I had my babies first on my new development of the street. So I would have moms into my house and they'd ask me questions like, well, what do you use for like and they have a diaper rash, or what do you use when they have a fever, or what do you use for teething? And so I told them, I was like, well, why don't you all come over and we'll make some stuff. So I did. And of course they all had oily stuff with it, but it was never with the intention of doing the business. It was just like sharing my heart and the products that I used. And then at the end of the night, they were like, well, I want this stuff. How do I do it? And I was like, well, I just bought like my starter bundle and you can too. And here it is. So before I knew it, I had like 7 people sign up in one night, and I got a paycheck the next month. And I was like, what? This really helped me be able to stay home and be able to afford the products that I wanted for my kids, because the more that you learn about the products and the value that they are, I wanted Ning Chef for my babies every single day. I wanted Mighty Bites for my babies every single day. So in order to do that, I had to make an income. And the only way to do that by being a stay-at-home mom was having flexible hours, like Alyssa was saying earlier. So Young Living checked those boxes for me. It was products that I truly believed in, that I truly used. It was allowing me to work as much or as little as I wanted. It gave me that social outlet that I was looking for as an isolated stay-at-home mom. And it was great. So I still wasn't doing the business though. If I went back in my mindset, then I was like total not doing the business. I just shared with some friends. That was it. I started to share with their friends. Then my paycheck started to grow. And at the time, my husband and I were actually in the process of starting a private school, like a forest school in Waldorf kindergarten. And it was great. But to make a really long story really short, all of that fell apart 6 weeks before school was supposed to start. So all the kids had been registered. My husband was going to quit his job. We had this whole big place set up. We spent thousands of dollars investing in decorations and overhauling and renovating the space we were going to be in. And it was pulled out from underneath of us. And I was like, oh no, what am I going to do? Like, what am I going to do? My kids are going to have to go to school or daycare, and I'll have to go back to teaching again. And I had this panic moment, but then I realized, but Young Living if I put a little bit more work in, could it help? And I finally sat down and opened the opportunity of Young Living and was like, this could actually make a difference. So that was August. September, I decided I was going to teach weekly classes, and I did classes for 6 weeks. And by Thanksgiving, I was silver. And I was like, this is where it's at. And I have not looked back. And I am so incredibly grateful for the opportunity. I feel like our school failed so that I could look at this opportunity, because I get to educate every single day. I get to help people every single day. I get to be with my kids every single day. And the life that we have built here is something that I never would have imagined and never would have been possible if I didn't at least like open the door and look behind the curtain of what the possibility of the Young Living business is. So I'm forever grateful, and I will continue to share Young Living because I can't imagine life without it anymore. So that's my story.
Wow, thank you for sharing. We all have different stories. It's really amazing. For me, Young Living started because of the business side, not the products. I was a burned out teacher, and I was just looking for a way to get rich and like not teach anymore. That didn't work. That's not what I was thinking. It's working, but it didn't take the time I thought. So I just jumped for the business. I learned about the products. I was giving classes. I was helping people, and I do believe that it was not the right purpose at the beginning to get rich. But learning about the products, the community, like Young Living, I changed my purpose. I was like, oh, I'm helping people now. So it got really different. I'm not looking into getting rich anymore. So it's different. I am rich in different ways. I am 3 years in, and I'm actually taking a year off of work. So I got there. So that's pretty cool. I'm very lucky because I got into a new market. I mean, I'm building in Quebec, so it's a new market for Young Living. So I said I was lucky. That's not usually what we say, because it's very hard to build a new market in another language. But I'm lucky at the same time because I can shine bright in this province. This province, so it's pretty cool. Yeah, that's really how I started. I just wanted to get rich, so I found a new MLM that I could do, and I really fell in love with it. So I am very lucky, very blessed. I have a very great community with me here in Quebec. We have Crossline, like everything is really great. One of my first goal with Young Living was to get my boyfriend on board, because he didn't like the idea of oils. He didn't like the idea of MLMs. I guess I'm not the only one. Boyfriend's not on board. It was really hard. So my first senior star paycheck was to buy him a Nintendo Switch and prove to him that I could actually make money with that. So my first senior star paycheck, I bought the Switch, and since then he's on board using the products and very happy for me. So it was pretty great. And that's the thing I always did with all the ranks. I was looking forward to give myself, like with my first paycheck, what I'm going to do with it. So it was really like a big motivation to run for that goal. And silver was to fly to Quebec, because I was living in BC at that time. So fly to Quebec and fly with my boyfriend. So buy both tickets. Because at that point, I was asking my dad to help me with tickets every time I wanted to fly. So I wanted to be able to buy my own ticket and buy Chris's ticket. So I was very proud of myself because I did it at executive, not even silver. I was very happy with that. So since then, I've just been rolling and being really excited about the business. And I really love hearing about all your stories, because I don't think I share enough about the business, and that's what attract me into it. So maybe I should share more. Thanks so much for sharing. Tina, it's your turn.
Thank you. I loved hearing all your stories as well. And I agree, Marie, I don't share enough about the business either. And I say, like, every few months, I'm like, okay, I'm going to share more about the business, and a little bit, and then I fall off of it. So I think we all need to keep each other accountable, because clearly it has blessed us all in so many ways and so many different ways. So yeah, let's do that. I think it's really important. For me, I've always been interested in health and wellness. I'm a massage therapist by trade. I've studied nutrition and things like that. So I'm super interested in that side of it. My sister had actually been telling me about Young Living for at least a year, maybe longer. And I was using oils in my massage therapy practice and actually thought I knew good oils. I knew like not to buy at Walmart or, dollar store or whatever, and I was ordering oils from actually a place in Ontario, a massage therapy supply place. And I thought they were decent. And anyways, she flew home from BC to visit Newfoundland and brought like this massive bag of oils. I'm not joking. Like I'd say she had 40 plus oils in that bag. Plus, I wish I had it here. She had the big desk reference, not the mini one, the big full size desk reference. So she was coming with a mission to get me on board, basically. So anyhow, that's kind of how it started for me. I think my very first oil that summer was lavender, which is one that I thought I hated. So I had some dermatitis going on. I always had like little red bumps, itchy bumps on my arm, like all the time. And I have allergies. And anyways, we were sitting down watching Game of Thrones one night actually, and I was like scratching my arms and she was like, "What's wrong?" And I'm like, it's my allergies. And she was like, "I have an oil for that." And I'm like, "Okay, go ahead." And anyways, she says lavender. And I'm like, "I hate lavender, anything but lavender, please." Anyway, she's like, "No, you need to put lavender on that." And it settled my skin immediately and the redness. And I was like, okay, interesting. And it didn't stink. And it was like, I don't actually hate that. So yeah, and then we tried a couple more things like oil for my lower back and oils for my alopecia. She mixed me up in mermaid hair serum. So that was actually 5 years ago this month. It was in August and I ordered my kit in September, like the beginning of September. So at the time I was like, don't even tell me about the business. I'm not interested. But we had a couple more game-changing moments. I've shared about my daughter's asthma here before, which was mind-blowing, actually. And so I couldn't help but talk about the products. And that's how the business started for me, like a lot of us. I did not want to do the business, but I couldn't shut up about the difference it had made for my health, my daughter's health, and things for my husband. So that's kind of how it started. But I still, like Laura, wasn't doing the business in my mind. I was sharing with people, they may have bought a kit or products, but I still didn't consider myself a business member. It wasn't until 2 more years that I actually, kind of went, okay, I really want to give this a try because I've shared and I've gotten paychecks, and I actually love helping people. I'm like definitely a service person. I'm in, healthcare and wellness, and, I thrive on people and connections. So that's kind of how it started for me. And then when I started sharing about the business and our team grew, it was like super rewarding. So from like the health gains to then the personal development, which is massive, like for me, this was so out of my comfort zone to even be on social media. I had no social media accounts before. I wasn't on Instagram or Facebook or anything. So to be like even doing a Zoom meeting was not me at all. Like I am an in-person people person. So just the personal development and growth that comes along with like stepping outside your comfort zone is incredible. I think that's one of the biggest benefits for me. And then like the people that you meet, like the collaboration we have here, then growing like your own team of like-minded community people. And then your larger communities, all of that, like if you're a people person and you like service and you like health and wellness, this is definitely something that you should consider trying. I definitely cannot recommend it enough. Everybody talked about the financial, and that obviously is a major benefit as well. But I really think if you're someone who's drawn to health and wellness and you are a people person, you should 100% give this a try. And one of the other things that I really, really love is that we can do this in whatever capacity we want. So like if it is just to pay for your products or make an extra $50 a month or enough to pay your cell phone bill, then that's great. Nobody is pressuring you. There are no quotas. There's no icky back, office that's, putting pressure on you. If that's all you want, that's great. And if you have big dreams and you want to be World Crown Diamond, we're all here to support that as well. And there's so much help now, even in comparison to 3 years ago. I think everybody would agree that there's way more support for business members and for members in general in regards to education than there was a year ago, 3 years ago, 5 years ago. I can't imagine. So yeah, that side of it. And honestly, I have to say, like, there's only 3 things you need for this. Number one, a love of the products. You need to know the company because you need to be able to stand behind that. So, a love of the products, a love of the company, and then confidence in yourself. So just like, the belief in the products, belief in the company, and belief in yourself, like knowing your why, because there will be hard times. We've all been through them. But knowing your why and having a strong why is what gets you through that. So that's it for me. Thanks everyone for sharing. That was awesome.
Thanks, Tina.
And I think I can say for all of us too, if there's anyone here watching now or even after, if you know any of us, I think you can reach out to any of us and ask questions. Like if you want support or ask questions, we're all here for that.
That's awesome. Thanks, Tina.
You're welcome.
All right. So that pretty much concludes our call for tonight. So we do storytelling every other week in the summer, but come September, we're going to be going back to weekly. If you are watching and you are thinking about starting the business, maybe you did start the business and you took a break and you're coming back into it, you're looking for a refresher. We also have our Instagram page, The Spirit of Abundance, and we do free business training every single week. You get resources and tons of content to help you. I wish I had this Instagram account when I started the business because it's just so great. You can go to any of our highlights and tap on them on any topic and get some inspiration. And I have to say, even if there's days that you're feeling unmotivated or you need something to ramp up your energy level, just going to our page and clicking on any of the content that's been pre-recorded, it's a great way to start your day. Take a couple minutes in the morning to set the tone. So thank you to everyone who shared, and we will be back on in 2 weeks' time to share some more. So thank you to everyone who was here today, and take care.